Good afternoon, Flosstube. It's Lori of Mischievous Stitches. I want to welcome all of you to my channel today. I'm very glad that you stopped by to visit. If you're here for cross stitch, you're in the right place. I have two finishes, a full finish in progress, and a couple of whips to share with you. Now, last week when I filmed my video, I did a review video, if you've not seen it, of my finishes from 2023 and the whips that I brought out of the year. One of the things I worked on this week that is one of my current whips is the Bristol Squirrel sampler. I'm stitching this as a stitch along with a friend, and each weekend I've not added this weekend's letters because each weekend I'm adding a letter, and I'm adding a letter for any finish I make. So this weekend, tonight, I should put in 2 more letters, which they're not there yet. And I've put in several letters since you last saw this one. So I think when I last shared it with you, I had completed, now I'm working on 1 page. So I've completed this part of the page, the second row of the page, and I'm working on the 3rd one. So we have Q, and part of R was there when I last saw you. So I've put in ST, and then a 4th row I've started for T, U, and V, and so I'm starting W. So tonight I'm gonna stitch at least 2 more letters in, and that's where I am on this one. I'm using DMC 817, 1 strand over 2 linen threads on 36 count atomic wrench in the color Dune. So that's where I am on that one. And the second whip that I have at this moment is, I've made a good bit of progress since you last saw it, but I had to remove some of that progress Thursday night. It's kind of in timeout. I will pick it back up tonight if I have a chance. I'm enjoying working on it, but I had made a mistake in the border, and of course I made the mistake, and I'm trying to work the pieces inside of that border, and I'm counting and orienting myself off of the border. And so I had to rip out, I had completed the border all the way to the 2nd corner and started coming down, and so I put in a leaf and it wasn't looking right. I realized I'd made a mistake, and I ripped out the leaf, went to put it back in, got halfway done, and I realized, okay, it's still off. So I had to remember where I started counting from. It was from the border. The border zigs and zags across the top and the sides, and one of those zigs was 6 stitches wide, and I had stitched it 5 inches wide. So until I made that mistake, I didn't know it was there, so I had to rip out a good bit of work in 3 different colors, and I will work to get that back in tonight. But this is the piece, Tellin Emblem. It had nothing to do with the charting, the mistake. It was just all me. Probably was watching TV as I stitched that night and just got interested and lost focus. But this is the piece. You hear Hank? He says hello. And this is my piece. I'm stitching it on 32 count Zweigart linen in the color Sterling. It calls for a different color, but I really like the threads on this piece. The color it calls for is more gray. This one is more blue, and I really like the colors against it. Very bright, vibrant color palette, which is normally not what I stitch in larger pieces, but this one just really drew me in. This designer is just, she's an artist. She has a few patterns out. She must be rather new. But I really like this piece. I particularly like the white poinsettia and how it's stitched as a singular piece to the side. So when I last left you, I think I had around 4 of these leaves, and I had this corner. So I brought the border down here. I had stitched across to the opposite corner and brought that down. And that's where I made the mistake. So all of this here needs to be replaced. I haven't put I was actually outlining one of the leaves, so I need to get that outline back in. The leaves are very fun. That they are outlined in one color and filled in. One of them is filled in with one singular fancy floss. The other one is the checkerboard pattern, so it's outlined in one color and checkered inside with two different colors. Really like it. But as I said last time, I think I had 4 of these in the corner, so I've added this blue bauble here. I think I've added these little decorator stars, started the word Merry for Merry Christmas, and put in several more of the leaves. So I'll continue to work on this piece this week. Really love or enjoy working on it, except when I make a mistake. It was not a pattern issue, it was a Lori issue. So last night I finished another piece. This pattern, I was lucky enough when I attended the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat in February to win one of the raffle prizes. My prize was Valentine's theme. Of course, it was February, so it was in season, and my gift came in this bowl. I got a pattern fabric threads. I also got a fancy floss that wasn't called for. Let me see where that's at. A fancy floss that wasn't called for in the pattern, actually 2 of them, and they're Treenway silks. Very pretty. It was wound up. I just unwound it. I have plans for it. I'll share in a minute. But it also came with a white. And then I also got, let me see, I think it's right down here. I got a name badge holder. Yes, it is. And here it is, which was so pretty. So here's the piece for your neck for the lanyard. And you can put your badge, like I have to have one at work. And so you can put that in. It has the vinyl plastic here. And a cute little zipper. Maybe you need your door key for your office or whatever in there. Very nice. Really love that. Also had some chocolates in there. There were some bath bombs in the shape of and smell of roses. Very, very cute box. But the best thing is it comes in this heart-shaped bowl, and I love this. It is a plastic bowl. I've left all the present filler that was inside, the iridescent little slivers here and paper filling. And I had an idea, since I don't have a Valentine display, is work on some Valentine smalls to put and display in this bowl for next Valentine's Day. And I started with the one that come in my actual prize. So this is Pledge of Affection, and this is by Blackbird Design. Again, I was gifted with the fabric, which didn't have a tag, so it is a mystery fabric, and all the DMCs that were called for, with the exception of one. And I finished that up this morning. So it was a pleasure to stitch. I enjoyed it very much. That bird, whew, usually I tackle things like that with maybe a strand here, a strand there. But I did work on outlining the bird as I was doing all the little wording and the little stars in the border around it. But it took almost a whole skein of 37.72 to stitch that bird. Now, everything about this I love, with the exception of the date. As you can see here, this was 2016. It was stitched in 2016, the piece. Not a bad looking date, year. Stitched up nicely. 2024 doesn't stitch up as nice, and definitely doesn't stitch up well in the space provided for this one. So I've tried moving the second 2 in the year over. As you can see, the 2-0, the 0 is very small. The 4 is 5 stitches, I think, long and wide. Yes, long and wide. So it was difficult to fit it. So I had to manipulate it a little bit. Still don't like the way it looks. Not even sure. I thought about possibly pulling out the 0, the 2, and the 4 and just put 2-4 on there and maybe put an stitch an apostrophe. Just don't like it. I'm going to let it rest and let it go for a day or 2, leave my threads out in case I decide something better. But other than that, love the design. It's a Blackbird. What's not to love? So I will probably finish this one into a pen pillow to place, and it's a larger one. So you can see here, what is that? Maybe a 5 by 7. I'm going to fix it and place it into the plastic Valentine's bowl. So I was lucky to get this prize. So this will make me think of the Barefoot Needle Arts retreat each time I look at it. But I'll be happy to have it displayed, finished and displayed. Now, last weekend I had a finish, and this is the Wee Santa 2023. He stitched up pretty big too. Now, I did stitch him on a 32 count, and it was just some fabric that I had, so it's a mystery fabric, and I've went round and round of how I'm going to finish him. So I had stopped by at my, there's a Dollar General close to my job, and I'm picking up just snacks for work, you know, crackers and things that I could have there for lunch one day this last week. And I come across this wooden blank. I think it was pretty inexpensive. I don't see a price on here, maybe $2.99. Perfect size for him, as you can see here. So I thought, I watched some of Kathy from Hands On Design, some of her finishing tutorials, and I thought, I'm going to finish it similar to the way she finished the Polar Plunge series. Same paper she used was at Hobby Lobby. So I'm just going to decoupage this onto there. Blue works well. Looks really good with this piece. But he has flowers around him. I'm assuming those are poinsettia. So I bought a second piece just in case of the red. Honestly, I don't like the red behind him. Not with the snowflakes, because there's no snowflakes in here. So I thought, okay, so what am I going to do? So at this point, I know I'm going to need to remove this jute hanger. I'm going to drill out 2 more holes for a hanger here. And I'm going to finish him onto a piece of mat board and install the mat board on here. I'm thinking I'm going to use of course, red behind him, but it's going to have to be a more rosy red than red, and then I'll just antique it or wax it with, I've got Tudor Rose Brie wax, which will darken up the color. So that's my thoughts at the moment. But that's going to be, that finishing will be for another video, because today I've been working on another piece to finish. And today I worked on Heart and Hands Round Red Sampler. I finished this one last year. I had the mat board cut out. I had the thread ready. I had the batting cut out. Everything ready just to assemble it, and I'm just not happy with it, and let me share why. Again, Lori has made a mistake. So this piece was designed to go on a heartware bowl, and as you can see in the piece here, it's the dark heartware bowl. Well, let me take a look. It was designed to fit the collector's edition red heartware bowl. It also says it will also fit on the gray heartware bowl. It is stitched on 32 count natural. I didn't have a natural, but I had a color similar to it. Got it mounted on the mat board. Got the back on it. I used the template from Heart and Hands website, but I got the wrong size bowl. So then I read the bowl, and it said Collector's Heart Edition Small Heartware Bowl. These bowls are not inexpensive. Lucky though, I finished this piece a couple of years ago. Now, my friend Mary hosted a little get-together at her home for a few of us, and she had gifted us this bowl and had kitted up the piece for us. So this is a heartware bowl. Oop! This piece is made to fit on it. Looks great, doesn't it? Bought the wrong bowl. I remember when I saw those, I saw this bowl. It was sitting near the pattern. I grabbed them and went. I did not know that there was a different size. I know that there's a different shaped hardware that is more like a tart pan. It's flat, that's used to finish pin cushions into. I've saw some of those. I didn't know that there was a small. This bowl here, the one I got, to show you size difference, will nest very easily inside the hardware bowl. So I have some researching to do, some digging, because I've purchased this. I want to utilize it to display something beautiful that I've stitched, but I don't know what patterns are available, or if I need to try to come up with something on my own. I'll dig in and find out about that. In the meantime, the whole premise with this was that there was a design by Heart and Hand that would go, there was a seasonal. So I know that I can finish this piece up so that it can be used also on this one. And then I'll just have to keep them, find a container to put the different ones I may come up and stitch over the years with these pieces, and so that I can change them out for the seasons. I will say, after realizing the mistake, coming up, taking a look at this hardware bowl, I said, I love how I finished this. We didn't use, I don't believe, when we finished it, the hardware bowl finishing tutorial that is actually linked on a card inside that box. But we ended up finishing it very similar to that. So I used a small rick-rack around the edge. Why does it look, oh, I pulled it down, sorry. Small rick-rack around the edge, and then I used more rick-rack around the edges of the inner piece. And of course it sits in like that, so that inner piece keeps it from sliding off the lid. I mimicked that today using the Heart and Hand tutorial. I just don't like, I want my finishing to be better than what I see. So I'm going to pull this back off. This is the inner piece. I love the fabric I used. I think it's beautiful, but I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to cut out another piece of mat board and cover it with the fabric, and then whip stitch it onto this piece, because I can see the folds of the fabric where I whip stitched it together. And as you can see on this one, it's very flat. I did a really good job, and I want to do better with this. So got a lot of things to work out with this one, but as you can see, it's finished. But I want to do better, so I'm going to pull this loose, and hopefully next weekend you will see, within the month, you'll see a finish on this one. I hope all that come out true. I feel like I'm bumbling and stumbling a little bit. But again, this is Red Round Sampler. It's by Heart and Hand, and I finished this one last year. It's a cute little finish. And I've seen others finish this up and do it in a different color. Love that too. Love it too. So back to the bowl, the Valentine bowl that was my gift for winning the raffle prize. I picked out another piece, so I thought, what am I going to do with these pretty silks? I want to use them. And I pulled out this piece that I bought, and it says, it's a Lizzie Kate, and it says, forgive quickly. Let me make sure I can read it right. Forgive quickly and kiss slowly. So sweet. And it'll go great with this red. I've got plenty of fabric pieces that I can use to stitch that one up. It should be a pretty quick stitch. Looking forward to pulling some fabrics out tonight and getting that one ready. So you see my plans. My plan is to finish up that round red sampler piece so that I can install it on the correct size hardware bowl. I'm going to put in a few letters onto my Bristol sampler this weekend, and hoping to round that corner and at least get that side of the left-hand side of my wreath, the leaves in that stitched, and probably at least the Merry, if not Merry Christmas, stitched in that this week. And until next time, thanks for stopping by. Hugs and stitches, everyone. Bye-bye.